Ladies and gentlemen, discipline is not a punishment. It is not a cage. It is the structure that allows you to build a life worth living. Without it, chaos creeps in, slowly, quietly. It starts with small things, leaving your room a mess, skipping a task, saying, "I'll do it tomorrow." But what you don't realize is that you're training yourself to ignore your own potential. The world is not going to slow down to accommodate your excuses. Life is brutally honest. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards those who align themselves with order and take responsibility. Discipline starts in the smallest corners of your life. Make your bed. Wake up when the alarm goes off. Show up on time. Speak the truth. Tell yourself the truth. When you do these things consistently, you build the foundation for something extraordinary. You gain a sense of self-respect that no one can give you and no one can take from you. People often look for motivation, but motivation is fleeting. Discipline is dependable. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel right now. I have a goal and I'm going to move toward it step by step. You won't always feel like it. That's the point. That's where growth is. You want meaning in your life? Then carry a load. Choose a responsibility that scares you a little. Pick it up. Start walking. You'll stumble, of course, but that's part of the journey. It's through the discipline of voluntarily taking on responsibility that you grow stronger, more focused, more resilient. You don't fix the world by shouting at it. You fix it by fixing yourself, your habits, your words, your actions. That's where the power is. That's where transformation begins. Start there. You're not weak. You're undisciplined. But discipline can be learned. And once you commit to it, truly commit, there is nothing that can stop you from becoming the person you are capable of being. Thank you. Discipline is the foundation of a meaningful life. It's not a concept reserved for strict environments or military routines. It's the very structure upon which a stable and fulfilling existence is built. Without discipline, life tends to spiral into disorder. There is no direction, no consistency, no clear path forward. People often mistake freedom for doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But real freedom, sustainable, powerful freedom, only emerges through discipline. Without it, you become a slave to impulses, moods, and distractions. You drift instead of drive. A meaningful life doesn't happen by accident. It requires effort, planning, and persistence. And the bedrock of all that is discipline. Discipline gives shape to your time, focus to your goals, and structure to your values. It's what helps you say no to short-term pleasure for the sake of long-term achievement. You can want to achieve great things, you can dream big dreams, but without discipline, those dreams remain fantasies. Because discipline is what turns intention into action and action into results. Consider what happens when someone lacks discipline. Their mornings are chaotic, their tasks are half-finished, and their goals remain untouched. Life begins to feel meaningless, not because it is, but because without structure, meaning becomes hard to access. You wake up late, skip commitments, avoid hard conversations, and let things slide. Then you wonder why you feel anxious, directionless, or depressed. It's because your life is no longer tethered to anything solid. Discipline provides that tether. It connects you to purpose. It anchors you to something beyond momentary feelings. When you live with discipline, you begin to trust yourself, and that trust builds confidence. You know you'll follow through even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. That self-trust becomes a quiet, steady strength. It doesn't shout, it doesn't seek praise. It simply does the right thing, consistently. That's how discipline builds character, by shaping your identity through repeated choices. It becomes a part of who you are, not just something you do and convenient. Meaning is not just found in grand achievements, but in everyday commitments. Waking up early, preparing your meals, showing up for work, listening intently when someone speaks. All of it matters. These are small acts of discipline that over time accumulate into a life that feels ordered, purposeful, and meaningful. And it's precisely in the repetition of these simple disciplines that deeper satisfaction grows. Discipline gives you the ability to take control of your own story instead of being a passive participant in it. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel motivated. That's normal. Discipline isn't about feeling, it's about doing. It's about setting a standard and holding yourself to it day after day. It's about choosing what matters most, not what feels easiest, and the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. What once felt difficult starts to feel essential. You stop negotiating with your excuses and start negotiating with your potential. At its core, discipline is an act of respect for your future self, for your goals, and for the life you want to build. It's not about being rigid or joyless. In fact, it's the opposite. Discipline makes space for joy by eliminating the clutter that chaos brings. It brings clarity, strength, and a sense of progress that is deeply satisfying. And when things around you fall apart, as they inevitably will, discipline is what helps you hold the line. It's the foundation that keeps you steady in a world that often is. Small actions lead to big outcomes. That might sound simple, but it carries a profound truth. The things you do every day, the habits you repeat, the choices you make, even the ones that seem insignificant, are shaping your future far more than you realize. People often wait for the big moment to change their lives. They think they need a breakthrough, a grand opportunity, or a massive shift to finally get on the right path. But the truth is, real transformation begins in the details. It starts with what you do when no one is watching. It starts with how you organize your morning, how you speak to yourself, and whether or not you keep the promises you make to yourself. Consider something as small as making your bed every morning. It's not about the bed. It's about the discipline. It's about starting your day with order and intention rather than passivity. That one small act is a message to your brain. You are in control, and what you do matters. Multiply that mindset across your day, completing small tasks, resisting distractions, keeping your environment clean, showing up 5 minutes early, and you start building momentum. You begin to realize that excellence doesn't start with some major breakthrough. It starts by doing small things well, consistently. There's a compound effect in life, and most people underestimate it. One good decision leads to another. A small win creates energy for the next one. It's like laying bricks. One brick doesn't look like much, but if you lay a brick every day with precision and care, eventually you have a wall. And if you stay consistent, that wall becomes a structure. That structure becomes your life. The problem is, many people want the entire building, and one day they grow impatient with the process. So they skip the small steps, and as a result, they never build anything strong or lasting. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. If you want to be someone who is focused, begin by practicing focus on small tasks. If you want to be disciplined, start by holding yourself accountable in everyday things. Finishing what you start, resisting temptations, showing up when you say you will. These may seem like minor efforts, but over time, they rewire your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, and when you see yourself differently, you act differently. You stop breaking your own rules. You start protecting your standards. People are often chasing purpose and direction, but they ignore the process. Purpose is not something you stumble upon. It's something you create piece by piece, step by step. When you take care of the small things, you become the kind of person who is capable of handling bigger responsibilities. Life tends to open doors for those who are prepared, and preparation is built on daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime events. When you show that you can manage the small things with consistency and integrity, life begins to trust you with more. It's also important to realize that neglecting small actions leads to big consequences. Skipping a single workout doesn't destroy your health, but repeatedly doing so builds a pattern of neglect. Ignoring a simple task may seem harmless, but it slowly chips away at your standards. That's how failure accumulates, not through massive collapse, but through repeated inattention to the small things that matter. In the end, the small actions aren't small at all. They are the groundwork of your future. They are the proof that you are capable of living with intention, focus, and purpose. When you understand this, you stop underestimating the power of your everyday choices. You start seeing them for what they are, the building blocks of a life worth living. Excuses lead to chaos. It starts slowly, almost invisibly. You tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. You skip one task, then another. You justify it. It's not that important, or I deserve a break. But every excuse, every rationalization, every moment of avoidance is a small surrender. And those small surrenders accumulate. You begin to drift, and before you know it, you're no longer steering your life. You're reacting to it. You're not in control. You're scattered, stressed, and unsure why everything feels so overwhelming. This is how chaos takes hold, not with one big failure, but with the gradual decay caused by excuse after excuse. Excuses are comfortable. They protect your ego. They give you a reason to avoid discomfort. But what they truly do is steal your power. Every time you make an excuse, you're reinforcing the idea that you're not responsible for your actions or your outcomes. And if you're not responsible, then you're helpless. You're a victim of circumstance. That mindset is dangerous. It strips you of your potential because it places your future in the hands of things you claim you can't control. It doesn't matter how talented, intelligent, or well-meaning you are. If you allow excuses to govern your behavior, you will fall short. You won't build anything lasting or meaningful because meaning comes from responsibility. It comes from stepping up, especially when it's hard. It comes from doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. The moment you start letting yourself off the hook is the moment you begin to lose your grip on the direction of your life. Discipline and order are built by confronting reality, not avoiding it. Chaos is what fills the space when responsibility is abandoned. You skip a meeting, miss a deadline, ignore a conversation that needs to happen. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later, but later doesn't come. Problems pile up, guilt sets in, your mind becomes cluttered with unresolved tasks and unmet obligations. Your relationships suffer, your confidence erodes, and you tell yourself the same lies again to ease the discomfort. It's not my fault, or I'm just too busy, or I'll get back on track next week. But next week never comes if you don't draw the line today. The way out of this spiral is brutal honesty, not with others first, with yourself. Look at your behavior. Are you doing what you said you would do? Are you meeting your own standards? Are you taking ownership, or are you making excuses? When you're honest with yourself, the discomfort is sharp, but it's also a turning point, because that discomfort can either lead to more avoidance or to change. The choice is always yours. There is a deep order to life that comes from taking full responsibility for everything within your control. That includes your habits, your reactions, your time, and your commitments. When you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for things to change, and you start changing them. You cannot have a disciplined life and a life full of excuses at the same time. One will always cancel out the other. Excuses protect your comfort in the short term, but they destroy your future. Discipline costs effort in the short term, but it builds a future you can be proud of. If you want to eliminate the chaos in your life, stop justifying your failures. Stop negotiating with your lesser impulses. Replace the excuses with action. It may be hard, but it's simple. Do what needs to be done, not when you feel like it, but when it needs doing. That's how you regain order. That's how you move from chaos to control. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is consistent. That's a truth many people resist because motivation feels good. It gives a rush of energy, a surge of inspiration. You watch a powerful video, hear a great speech, or read a meaningful quote, and suddenly feel ready to take on the world. But then what happens? The feeling fades, reality sets in. You're tired, distracted, overwhelmed, and all that motivation that felt so powerful yesterday is gone today. That's the problem with relying on motivation. It's emotional, and emotions fluctuate. Discipline, on the other hand, does not. Discipline doesn't care how you feel, it shows up anyway. It's the decision to keep going when you're not in the mood, when things aren't exciting, when no one is clapping for you. Discipline is showing up at 5 a.m. because that's what your goal requires, not because you feel like it. It's saying no to temporary pleasure because your future matters more. It's doing the hard, boring, unglamorous work consistently without waiting for a spark of inspiration to guide you. That's why discipline is the key to progress, not motivation. People often ask, how do I stay motivated? But that's the wrong question. The better question is, how do I stay disciplined when I'm not motivated? Because that's the moment that defines your growth. Anyone can work hard when they're excited. That's easy. But when the enthusiasm fades and all that's left is effort, most people stop. That's when you either rise above average or fall back into the same pattern. The ones who rise are not the ones with the most motivation. They're the ones who train themselves to act regardless of how they feel. This mindset shift is critical. You stop chasing highs and start building habits. Motivation is like a match. It lights up quickly, but burns out fast. Discipline is like a slow burning fire. It doesn't flare up, but it also doesn't go out. It's sustainable, it's dependable, and it gets stronger the more you feed it with action. Every time you do what needs to be done, even when you don't want to, you reinforce that fire. You strengthen the muscle of self-command. Think about elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, skilled artists. They don't rely on waking up inspired every day. They've built systems. They've made discipline a way of life. They practice when no one's watching. They train when it's uncomfortable. They write, build, rehearse, refine, day in and day out. Their results don't come from waiting for the perfect moment. They come from creating momentum through repeated effort. That's what separates those who talk about their goals from those who achieve them. Another reason discipline is so vital is because it creates trust, not just from others, but from yourself. When you consistently follow through, you build self-respect. You begin to believe in your own ability to act, and that belief becomes a source of confidence. You no longer need to wait for a motivational push. You know you'll act regardless. That's a powerful place to operate from. It's stable, it's rooted, it's real. Life will throw hard days at you. Stress will come, fatigue will hit, distractions will tempt you. If you rely on motivation, you'll be vulnerable to every shift in your environment or mood. But if you build discipline, you become unshakable. You create consistency, and from consistency comes real progress. It's not always exciting, it's not always fun, but it works. And when you look back months or years from now, it won't be the days you were motivated that mattered most, it'll be the days you pushed through despite the lack of motivation. Those are the days that build the life you want. Truth is essential, not just truth in speech, but truth in behavior, in thought, and in the way you see yourself and the world around you. Discipline and growth begin with truth, because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. People lie to themselves all the time about their effort, about their habits, about their intentions. They tell themselves they're doing fine when they know deep down they're drifting. They pretend they're committed when they haven't made any real sacrifices. They convince themselves that life is unfair or that others are luckier when the truth is they haven't put in the work. This avoidance of truth is comfortable, but it's also destructive. Facing the truth is hard. It requires humility. It means admitting that your situation is, to a large extent, the result of your own actions or your lack of them. It means recognizing your own laziness, your fear, your inconsistency. That's painful. But it's also necessary, because once you tell the truth, you can do something about it. Once you say, I'm not doing what I should be doing, you can begin doing it. Truth gives you clarity. It wipes away the fog of excuses, self-deception, and denial. It grounds you in reality, and only from reality can you begin to build something solid. Living truthfully also means confronting the parts of your life that are broken, the habits that are dragging you down, the relationships that are toxic, the routines that lead nowhere. You don't run from those things, you face them. You stop pretending that they'll fix themselves. You stop hoping for miracles and start dealing with the hard facts. That's where discipline begins, not in pretending things are better than they are, but in dealing with things exactly as they are. Truth and discipline also means you stop sugarcoating your own behavior. You stop saying, I didn't have time, when the truth is you wasted it. You stop saying, I tried my best, when the truth is you didn't give your full effort. You stop blaming others for things that are your responsibility. You own your choices, your actions, your results. That level of honesty might hurt at first, but it also empowers you, because if it's your fault, it means it's also your fix. You're not a victim, you're in control. There's also a deeper layer to truth and values. You have to ask yourself, what do I actually believe in? What do I stand for? What matters enough to me that I will suffer for it? Because discipline requires sacrifice, and you will not sustain sacrifice unless it's tied to something true. If your goals are rooted in lies, trying to impress people you don't respect, chasing rewards you don't care about, you'll burn out. But if your goals are built on something honest, something real, you'll endure. You'll suffer, and it will be worth it. Truth also means speaking clearly, not manipulating, not hiding, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. People respect that, and more importantly, you respect yourself when you live that way. Discipline isn't just about action, it's about alignment. When your actions match your words, when your words match your beliefs, and when your beliefs are rooted in truth, you become strong, not loud, not arrogant, but strong in the way that lasts. Living truthfully is a form of discipline in itself. It means you choose to see things clearly, speak with integrity, and act with intention. It means you stop lying to yourself just to feel better in the moment. It means you face life with your eyes open, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. Because the truth, while hard, is the only place from which real transformation can happen. Without it, you're just pretending. With it, you have the foundation to become who you're truly meant to be.